Hi everyone, in today's video we're going to be looking at two new Viseart palettes as well as one cheeky little addition I also sneaked into my basket, as well as showing you a couple of my recent sale purchases, so watch on! Let's kick off with Viseart's Violette Nocturne. Here it is, and let me show you the swatches. Here is Violette Nocturne, a Violette legacy reborn in nocturnal midnight bloom, inspired by Paris on the cusp of winter. And this is what the whole palette looks like. Violette Nocturne Étendu summons moon-kissed plums, noir-stained mulberries and silken mauves. The last leaves fall, the sky smudges into violet hues, smoke, shadow and myth unfurl in every shade. So let's take a look. So here are the top shades. The first one here is Plume, light cool-toned nude pink with a matte finish. Next to it we've got Violetine, a light blush pink with a matte finish. And then we've got Chimère, a white purple pink with a duochromatic finish. This is intriguing, this shade. Lovely for the inner corner. And then next to it, we've got Cendré, a mid-tone greyish purple with a matte finish. I love these shades. So soft and usable. And here we've got Astrea, a cool mid-tone taupe brown with a matte finish. And next to it, we've got Serpentine, a light purple with flecks of silver, lilac, pink and green with a duochromatic finish. That's gorgeous for the lid, as we'll see. Next to this one, we have got Ianthe, a mid-tone, dusty, cool-toned purple with a matte finish. And then we've got Silène Noctiflore, a mid-tone taupe brown with a matte finish. I mean, that is just standout, isn't it? And so smooth. It swatches so smoothly. And finally, we have Gris Fumé, so smoky grey. Let's see how they describe it. A smoked taupe brown purple with a silver shimmer finish. It's lovely, isn't it? And next to it, Fleur de Nuit, a light muted lavender with a matte finish. And then here, Mur Sauvage, a mid-tone, cool-toned cocoa taupe with a matte finish. And then finally, Nocturna, a deep elderberry purple brown with a matte finish. This shade, this last shade, for me is very exciting because it's a lovely liner shade, as somebody who doesn't like black anyway. So if you're like me, this may be of interest. And that's the whole colour story. Look at those mattes. As much as we've got the duochromes and the slight sheens, there's a lot of mattes here. The only one of these shades that I've wondered about in terms of comparables or just a comparison is this one here, Chimère, which remember is a white purple pink with a duochromatic finish. And I just wondered how similar, if at all, it is to Pat McGrath's Divine Rose Iridescent Pink, the 003. Let me just remind you of Divine Rose. And it's that shade there. And here is, oh, here we go, Violette Nocturne. You know, they are different. I'm just kind of reminding you. But I just wondered how similar that shade was, because it did remind me of it, although I've not used Divine Rose for a while. So here we are. There's Divine Rose and there is Chimère from the new Viseart. Yeah, so it seems to me Divine Rose has got more of a peachy pinky shift. No mirror, but you can stand the palette up like that, should you wish to. The whole thing is metallic, and so it comes off. And in fact, you can curate your own palettes because these just lift out. They actually don't lift out. It's not difficult at all to kind of lift them out, even with your finger. Okay, let's see what they look like on the eyelids. In this slightly higgledy-piggledy moment, I just wanted to show you this that I put on my eyes in the Violette. I've had this on 6 hours or just under. I did, however, use the one size, this one, the powder melt, which is great. You just got to remember to shake it. I mean, I'm saying it to myself. I mean, sometimes I have to say it to myself out loud, because as long as you shake it and just quite sparingly, it's just really good. Anyway, and it's not drying. That's the thing, on a very dry skin, on a very cold day, it's not drying. Anyway, I just wanted to show this to you because I wanted to show you how you can amp it up a little bit. Obviously we're in artificial light because daylight's not an option. It gets so dark now. But I did want to show you that you can amp it up without it being, it's not really glittery, you know? These are sort of soft shimmers and satins, but they're not huge kind of metallics. Even the duochromes, they're quite gentle duochromes. So let me just bring you in close up so you can have a look. Now I did use the, I'm not even sure what it's called, but I will tell you in a minute, the deepest shade, this one here, as an eyeliner. I didn't wet it or anything, I just put it on as an eyeliner with a thin-ish brush. But as you can see, I'm kind of getting my lilac violet fix, but it's not a huge commitment, I think. And I have, you know, I have gone in a little bit more dramatic than in the daylight look that you'll see. So that's what that looks like. What I should say is this duochrome, which does that, that's very lovely on the inner corner because it does brighten, but it's not very brightly shimmery. And then this other shade here, which is the one that I've put on most of my lid, it goes from a sort of a greeny, muddy taupe to more of a silvery kind of violet. But if you look at it on my lids, which is what I've got on the main bit, can you see it sort of does go a bit sort of taupey as well? I think that's what makes it more gentle. We're not getting a massive glimmer, but we are getting a soft wink, not a very obvious and desperate wink. How about that? Look at the amount of mattes and taupey mattes that you get. It's an easy palette to use and take away with you, in the sense that you'll get several looks, including really lovely matte looks that, you know, are just perfect for every day, you know, and just to kind of lift your eye a little bit. I would say there are some good one and dones here. So this one I think is lovely as a one and done. This one here, for example. And you've also got all these kind of mattes like this one, which are just, you know, just easy, no stress. That's what I would say with this palette. It's kind of no stress. And as I keep saying, a good price point, especially this time of year, as a treat. Now, I would say that the way this applies, which is really easily, I think it's a really good way of dipping your toe into the soft lilac kind of look, in the sense that, sorry, I've got a curious cat, in the sense that while you are committing to the shade, you're not committing to something that is slightly startling. And actually I've probably made a mistake, because I probably shouldn't be wearing this with pink, probably blue would be better or something. But however, I just want to say that it is really easy to just kind of have a sort of a taupe that then goes very gently into a soft lilac, or it's more of a lilac than a mauve. I know they call it Violette, but yeah, I would say, yeah. Anyway, my point is that it's when I say beginner, I was going to say beginner friendly. It's not, I don't mean beginner friendly as in beginner friendly. I just mean if you are the kind of person that maybe thought these kind of shades weren't for you, this is a kind of gentle, not so much introduction, but a gentle entrance into that world to see whether it's for you or not, simply because the colour commitment, it seems to me, in this palette is not enormous by any means. There's lots of lovely browns and taupes in there, and then you can have like a little bit of an accent. I've kind of gone for it, but even then, let's be honest, compared to what other stuff I've worn, this is kind of neutral. That's my overall view of this palette. In terms of the formula, I would say it's a nice blendable formula. I don't think it, for me anyway, it hasn't blown my socks off, but it is exactly what I expect from Viseart, which is everything just works really nicely it's a sensible price point. I mean, even with the shipping that I paid from the States, it's still a sensible price point. So that's what I would say. And what it's not got, and I think this is absolutely to their credit, is it's not got a huge metallic shimmer to it. And that's partly why I just said what I said about if it's your first foray, but also for somebody like me who likes to wear colour. I mean, not every day, but I do enjoy colour. In a way, it kind of stays my hand from going a bit, too disco, too glitz, too much. This is still office friendly. I mean, I have been into fairly conservative environments with still wearing colour, but keeping it quite muted. And I think what this does is it forces me to keep it muted, but I'm still getting my fix of the lilac. So yeah, on to the next one.
Here is Sireneuse Nocturne Étendu, and this is what the story looks like. Born of tempest-wrought dreams, Sireneuse Nocturne Étendu sails on starlit seas of maritime mats and duochromatic depth. Sister to Sireneuse, our best-selling sensation, Sireneuse Nocturne is a sea-spun spell of silk, smoke and shimmer, where tides of glacial glimmers meet moonlit prismatic pools, lured by the siren's midnight song. So just so you can see the side by side, here is, if I can do this with one hand, sometimes I really impress myself. Today is not one of those days. This is the new Nocturne, and this is last year's Sireneuse. On first glance, I don't know whether you think this, the new one, this one, the Nocturne, doesn't seem as nocturnal as this one, but let's swatch it and see. So starting from here, we have Voile, iced silver rosé with a shimmer finish. And next to it, Harpier, cool toned light beige with a matte finish. And then here we have Lulaine, a mid-tone clay rose with a matte finish. That's actually a really lovely shade. And next to it, now we're starting to talk. We have got Sirène, a patined silver green with a metallic finish. Isn't that lovely? And here we have Echo, which is a mid-tone chestnut blushed brown with a matte finish. Next to it, I love this shade, Empire, a nude mauve with a blue duochromatic fleck. That's great. And then here we have Tritonia, a coralline blushed sienna with a duochromatic finish. You can see those two together. And look at this. Ciel Figuet, a basalt silver brown with a duochromatic finish. And here we have Tideborn, a light cool-toned nude slate with a matte finish. And next to it, Sirène, antiqued gold green with a shimmer finish. That's much more olivey. Oh, that's right up my street. And then here we have Nautilus, a muted kelp green with a matte finish. Brindelle, an espresso bitter brown with a matte finish. That's lovely, isn't it? Those greens. This is why I bought this palette, because I need a green fix. I really do. Gorgeous. These olives are fantastic. Now, I did think you might have last year's Sireneuse and wondering quite how different really are they apart from the greens, which I know are apparent. Obviously the new one has got these lovely olives and fern shades. I did pick out a few shades just as a sort of, not so much a comparison, but just to talk you through it really. These, the bottom row, are all from last year's. And then above, we've got some of the newer ones. Now, can you see how inky these are? These are kind of, when there's some terrible oil tanker has some accident and it's sort of that oil on water, but those sort of deep petrol shades that shimmer across the water at night. I know this is not meant to be the Nocturne version, but it does seem deeper. But then these shades brighten things up a little bit. What the Nocturne does is, I think it's slightly warmer, but it's not as inky. Although it's definitely variations on a theme. I know this is not helpful, but you are getting the greens. So that's the difference. But it's, as I said, I do think this is going to be very much horses for courses, because you are going to need to decide whether you want the more inky, bluey, deeper tones, those shades of peacock that are kind of blended with a very, very deep inky tone, which I think is this, with some obviously lighter ones, brighter ones, as against this one, which I know they are saying is smoky, but let's see how we feel about it on the eyelids. You have got these greens, which don't have to be smoky at all. The other thing that I thought was worth comparing them to, just in the palette, nothing too much to sort of waste your time, or take up your time rather, is just in case. This is Sorcery, just so you can see the difference. I don't think there's much overlap at all there. And then I also thought it was worth comparing Unexplored Garden. Now, I'm no longer really a massive fan of the YSL. I enjoy them, I enjoy using them. I don't think they're as long lasting, and there is fallout for me. And that kind of has stopped me really going back and revisiting these. But I know they're very popular, and I think it's one of those formulas that works for some people and perhaps works less well, and I think I'm like that for some other people. But that's the difference there. Also, let me just show you Gloom as well. Now, what you're not getting in the new Viseart is this really gorgeous metallic petrol shade here. I mean, I see it as a petrol shade. Natasha's is very much a cool toned palette, whereas with this, you are getting some warmer shades. They're not too, well, for me anyway, they don't seem too warm, but they are slightly warmer. But you're also getting a few taupey shades as well. It is much more of a mix, but I thought that was worth comparing. And then finally, we've got Desert Gleam, and that's what that looks like. Now, you're not getting that bright citron kind of colour, citronelle colour that you do in Lisa's at the top. But again, I mean, I'm not saying they're similar. You may feel that Desert Gleam kind of gives you that slightly greeny, silvery fix with a bronze option, of course.
I had a slight camera mishap. Here's what you need to know. On this eye, all I've done is put a little bit of this in the crease, and then on the lid, this delightful shade. I actually just used my fingers and then smudged it around with a brush, and then lined, as a liner, I used this, and then a little bit in the inner corner of this. That's all I've got on. I'm going to bring you closer just so you can have a look, but it's super quick, you know. And there is a bit of fallout, but I mean, I've had this before with Viseart. It's not a big deal. It's not the kind of fallout that annoys me, which actually is probably where I'm at with the YSL quads, in that I find that when they, and I haven't put my foundation on because there's a foundation I want to show you, but when there's fallout, it's glitter. That's not where we're at with Viseart. It's just a little bit of fallout and that's it. Now, I am just putting a little bit of this in the inner corner, because while I put this in the inner corner, it wasn't quite as bright as I would like. So it really is, it's the difference, if I may show you, of these two. So that one just seems to show up better for me anyway, I think. So I've just put a little bit of that in. Now I do realise there's a little bit more dazzle in that, isn't there? But I think once I put mascara on, it should be okay, I think. And now I need to put a little bit on the lower lash line. So I'm actually just going to go in with this lovely matte. I mean, I say it's an olive, but I think they describe it as a kelp. I'm not averse to kelp. I like kale. Kale with a bit of lemon. Okay, so I've just used that as a liner with my lovely, I love this Shadow 06. I really recommend the whole Shadow range actually, but this little brush that I thought was going to be a bit of a, you know, yeah, it's fabulous. I'm so glad I've got two, because I bought two of the 2-packs when they first came out, and I'm so pleased I did. Is that bright enough on the lid? I think we'll probably put a little bit more. I'll just stick my finger in there again. Just give it a bit more. Why not? Okay. Now, I would like to move away from the greens, not that I normally want to move away from the greens, and use this shade here, which is Empire, which is this kind of mauvey duochrome brownie shade. Let me remind you of what it looks like. It looks like that. Is that one there? Sorry, I've got an impatient cat. I better go and let her in. Otherwise they'll be hell to pay. I mean, honestly, it's not worth my while imagining I've got some kind of independence. I'm going to put it all over the lid because I think this is one of these lovely one and done shades that could be useful, but let's see, because I might be wrong. We don't know. The proof of the pudding is very much in the brushwork. So let's give it a little go and see what happens. Oh, lovely. Now it is described as, I'm just reminding you, a nude mauve with blue duochromatic flecks. I think I said mauvey brownie, didn't I? Well, I was wrong, and that's why they don't get me to write the descriptions. So a nude mauve, yes, with blue duochromatic flecks. Yeah, you see, as a one and done, I mean, depending on, you know, as long as you don't mind going, it's not dark, but it's a moody shade. It's kind of moody, but not the teenage moody with the slamming doors. Moody as in mysterious and actually with something to say, but maybe a bit of withholding going on. It's all very attractive. Look, this is very nice as a one and done. I'm not suggesting you buy this for that, but it is quite nice to know when we've got these kinds of options. Yeah. Now, there's not a lot of dimension to it. That's fine. I'm just saying it's not got, when we say a duochrome, just when you apply it with the brush, you're not getting that full effect. I'm going to try it with a finger, and they do say if you want sort of a more intensity, you can use a mixing medium. I prefer not to use them only because my eyelids are dry. That's really my reasoning. So, oh, actually with a finger we do get a little bit more dimension. But I have to say, I do live for these kinds of colours. That's just so flattering. Okay, so if I was to just go out the door, needing to be, you know, gone quickly, I don't mean like because I'm on the run. I just mean because I'm late, you know, because I spent too long lounging around in bed, or had a crazy idea of putting on a face mask like I did yesterday, and then I was perilously late. But anyway, okay, so that's that. That's rather lovely. I do like that. Now, the Viseart website recommends that I pair it with this shade here and this shade here. And I'm actually going to do that for a sort of a, you know, a moodier look. As I said, not grumpy, just a bit more intense. So I'm just going to put the matte brown in the crease. The thing about these formulas is when you look at the ones which are sort of duochrome, as you swatch them, I've used the word gritty several times actually before when I've been swatching, and every time I've kind of thought, it really is the wrong word because it implies that it's going to be unpleasant. It's not so much that, but you definitely feel that the formula is not sort of 100% creamy powdery, which is fine. Once you put them on the lids, it's absolutely fine, but it does feel slightly more compact and denser. I remember sort of feeling this with the new Patrick Tar duos, and I think when I reviewed them I did say that, I think I said gritty, but actually when you know they're smooth when you put them on, and this is similar. It's just, I'm not suggesting in any way you've got the same intensity of shine and metallic and all of that, but it is that kind of sensation in that if I was to swap, if they were available in store, which they're not for me, I don't think anyway in the UK, I would kind of think, oh, that's a bit disappointing, but actually it's absolutely fine. It's just a slightly denser formula, but you are getting something that is very forgiving on the eyes. Because there's not this relentless shimmer that shows up every single line, it is a softer look. So I've just put the matte brown in the corner. Let's put this, which I just want to show you. This is a sort of, that's lovely. This is the one that they say is a sort of a deep grey sky kind of shade. Now, I'm not a smoky eyeshadow person, but I'm going to go for it in the interests of science. And I think I might have to put something in the inner corner, otherwise I might expire because it might be too much change at once. I was so delighted when these arrived, but I must tell you, the chap who delivered them to me, he looked very, very wary when I opened the door to collect them when he rang the doorbell. And I sort of said, oh, you know, thank you and nice to see you, and I waved. And he said, you don't recognise me, do you? And I said, no, but thank you very much for delivering my parcel. Thinking, okay, I've got a right weirdo one here. And he said, you've got the right coloured face on this time, or the normal, your usual face on. And I thought he meant I either look grumpy or maybe happier than last time. That's not what he was referring to. It came back like the most terrible Vietnam flashback, in the sense that the last time he saw me, and I remember it, was the 31st of October, Halloween. I did not have a Halloween costume. It was quite late at night. I'd got in quite late, and I had done the whole ablution thing, and I had put on my Yves Lom rescue mask, which is kind of white, and I'd kept it on for a while, forgot all about it. I was cooking, I was fiddling about, the doorbell rang. I opened the door, and this chap, and it was this same chap, jumped out of his skin because I looked like a Halloween, it or something like that, presumably. I, of course, had forgotten that I was wearing the mask. He jumped and he said, "Oh, what are you wearing?" And I kind of looked down, and I was wearing clothes. But basically he said, "On your face." And I literally went like this. I thought, oh, okay. So the poor guy, I felt really bad. And the fact that it was Halloween, for me, afterwards made it really funny. But I really felt for him, because maybe he's somebody who, gets very scared. I mean, as somebody who does get scared myself, I would have been scared. But anyway, I felt a bit bad. But I sort of tried to make it up this morning by showing my joy that he had delivered my Viseart. Anyway, right, I've put this in the corner, and it is indeed smoky, and it is indeed moody. I don't know. Is it too moody? Is it too smoky? Only you can tell me that. I don't know. Because my eyes are so much darker, I am kind of wary of doing something that's too dark, but I do happen to like these kinds of shades. So I'm going to, stick with it. I'm going to try putting more of this, the first shade, because I do like it. And then let's put a little bit of something in the middle. And I don't know whether, should we put, yes, I am going to put this one in the middle, this one here. And let's see how it goes. I've got my trusty 21, which isn't going to be so trusty now that they're redesigning it. I don't want to fear the worst, because I do believe in Rephr, but yeah. Okay, that's just a little bit of brightness. It's not like terribly bright, but I think I have to lean in to the moodiness, Well, or the mystery of the night. And Paris on the cusp of winter. That's not an attractive thought for me. I don't like winter, but anyway. Okay, so, I mean, it is quite dark. I don't know. I'm going to go with it because I feel I should show willing and bravery. I'm sort of loath to put on anything underneath, but what I think I'll do is I'll put my concealer on and let's see. Should I put some liner on? Yes. I'm answering my own question. Okay, let's do that. I'm just putting a little bit of liner just because otherwise it feels a bit unfinished. And then I'll go and put some mascara on and we'll take it from there. Now, I was just looking close up at this shade and I'll put some more on. I switched it on the back of my hand, and you can, on the back of my hand, see sort of some blue flecks. It doesn't translate on my eyelid, either when I use my finger or a brush. It may well do that with a mixing medium. So I'm just pointing that out. So I'm getting the smokiness, I'm getting the nighttime. I mean, this is the Nocturne palette, isn't it? It's not the Jour palette or the Matin palette, but I'm not getting real kind of blue midnighty flecks. That's not a complaint, but it is an observation. What you should know is this shade here works really well with this. So I did put a little bit in the inner corner, and then I remembered that you were with me and I had to stop. So I'll put a little bit more, but it does work well. Where's my good brush? Here we go. There we go. Here's my 21. Yeah, it does work well with that, just as a little bit more brightening. So that's what the two looks like. Two looks look like. I've just put some mascara on, that's all. Oh, and I should say that this shade that I put on my lid, I also put a little bit underneath after I put the concealer on. I haven't got foundation on yet, but I have put concealer on. What do you think? I mean, they are two very different looks, which I really like. And frankly, I think that's pretty good value for money, that you can have two such, you know, such different looks and with such variety of shades to kind of shape the eye and do all of that. Plus this one and done thing on this one, that for me is, you know, that's kind of golden. I'll tell you what it did remind me of, and I looked it up while I was fiddling about off camera. Do you remember these Suqqu shades that came out earlier in the year? I'm a real fan of these, but my absolute favourite, I've got to remember the name of this. This is P02, P for prismatic or prism. It's the prism range. I think there's only 4 shades, and it looks like this. You can see how much I've used it actually. I really like this. It's so easy. Anyway, I just wanted to show it to you because this shade that we've used now just really reminded me of this. Oh yes, there is a similarity. There is a similarity. Okay, so this is the Suqqu and this is Viseart. Now, when I look at the Viseart, there's a little bit of blue fleck, whereas this one is kind of more of a soft mauve shot through with a bit of burgundy. But it is dimensional on the lid. They're not exactly the same. I think they do look like relatives though, don't they? With the same parents, you know. I don't know why that's relevant. I suppose it's relevant in the sense that this is one of my most favourite one and done shades. And I suppose that probably explains the ecstasy that I felt. But this on the lid, I feel, is deeper. It is a bit more, you know, more moody. So that is the palette. I'm glad I've got this, and I'll tell you why. As much as I initially was really excited about, where is it? Here we go. The original Sireneuse Étendu. I ended up not reaching for it in the way that I thought I would, because the deep shades are really very deep for me. Because I don't like a smoky look or a very dark look generally, I don't find these shades that easy, even though there's lots of light, even though, you know, all the rest of it. Whereas the incorporation of the greens in these, notwithstanding the fact that, as we know we can get like a smoky look, and as I've just said, it is the Nocturne palette in the sense that it is definitely a deeper sort of colour story, even though it's not really apparent initially. It's more workable for me. I think I'm gonna use this more. This is a very good kind of green look, I feel, for me. I feel it's very user-friendly. It's green, not so much as not as we know it, but it's green, but it's not too green. It's not too kind of ballroom dancing. Yeah, I've always wanted to ballroom dance. I never really learnt. I can do certain things, but I'm not, you know, but you know what I mean, like quite theatrical. It's not got that theatricality, which I appreciate because, you know, I need to be tempered sometimes, you know. I can't just be left to my own devices, otherwise it's just going to be wall-to-wall Danny LaRue. Do you know what I mean? I was the one that if I could have done the school run in a feather boa, I would. Yeah, it's possibly why nobody spoke to me at the school gates. But anyway, that's another story. The point is that it's just, you know, for me, this is a very workable green. The more I look at this, I've got the mirror in front of me these days, which I never used to do. But the more I look at this, the more I like it, actually. Because what I like about it is it's not got this. What I don't like about smoke is when it's a grey smoke. It seems to make me look just exhausted and like, you know, I've been up all night in an unwilling situation, not in a fun situation. So yeah, whereas this, the sort of the mauviness of it and the coolness of it, I do prefer. I do like it. I have to tell you, I was very surprised how well this shade worked. Where is it? Let me just model up my palettes. How well this shade worked under the eye. I thought at first it would make me look tired, But I think that's it's exactly what I just said earlier, which is the mauviness of it has somehow stops it making me look like I've got more dark circles than I've got. Concentric dark circles, shall we say. That's what I think, and I'm quite excited. I also just want to say, I think in a way we sort of, I say we, I know for myself, I can get a bit immune to what things cost. Doesn't make me any less resentful, but I can. And these are pretty good value. They make very good gifts. I'm going to buy a couple actually for gifts, because the other thing I will say is I paid for quicker shipping, not so much express, and it was pretty quick actually. So yeah, I'm going to order a couple more of these for gifts. But my point is, they are better value than we're kind of used to seeing. That's what I would say, given what given what we get, really. So I think it's a win all round, really. Now, what's better than 2 Viseart palettes? 3 Viseart palettes. Here is Praline Étendu, which I also bought. It came out about 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago. I may be wrong though. I do get a bit confused with the dates, because what comes out in the States is not necessarily always available to be shipped to us. But anyway, this is the colour story. You may look at that and think, oh, that's a bit boring. I look at that and think several things. One is, these are really safe workday options, and that's why I was attracted to it. Now, I should tell you that this was the one that I put on my eyelids straight away, and I'll tell you what I did. The shade that I used on my eyelids was just that. I just put that on with some brown mascara first thing this morning, and it was absolutely delightful. It really was. I'll tell you what it is, just because it's a bit like people. When somebody is stable and you know what you're going to get, it doesn't mean it's boring. It means it's stable. It means it's fun, because you can kind of predict your life to a degree and be spontaneous without thinking they're going to go off the rails. Am I making any sense? I don't know. But I kind of feel that these types of colour stories, as long as the formulas work well and all that kind of stuff, then this is the stuff that life is made of. And I'll tell you what it reminded me of. It reminded me of I think it was one of her most recent cookbooks, if not her most recent cookbook, which I forget what it was called, but it's Nigella's. And she has got a chapter entitled A Loving Defense of Brown Food. And I'll tell you what that is and why it relates to these kind of shades. It's basically a championing of brown food. So food that is hearty and delicious, but not necessarily photogenic, and it doesn't necessarily look amazing on the plate or in the bowl. So this is kind of stews, for example, food that is, delightful to eat, but isn't flashy, a baked potato, roast potatoes, stews. They don't look as razzle-dazzle and as technically pyrotechnic-y. I'm making my own up. I think I'm making up my own words, but I think it's in a good cause. I would say that. But anyway, my point is, I think that's what this does, okay? You might look at that. Well, you won't. I know you won't, because we're probably thinking the same thing. But, one might look at that and think, oh, God, more browns. Who needs another brown palette? Do you know who needs another brown palette? Me, every day of the week. Because it's reliable and it's exciting in the sense that I know that when I wear these kinds of colours, I immediately look more awake, more healthy, and actually less made up. So that's why I was attracted to it. So I'm just flagging it up in case you looked at both the Violette that we've talked about today and the Sireneuse Nocturne and thought, oh, it's just a bit too much effort. These, no effort at all. I'm just saying, I'm just putting it out there. It's just lovely. I'm just flagging it up because I've got it, and I feel instinctively we are going to be the best of friends, and I feel I'm going to really bond with it with no effort at all. As part of this video, I was going to show you some of this stuff that I've bought on sale, but this video's gone on, a bit too long. So let me just tell you a couple of things that I bought. Not new products, but new to me. You may or may not remember that in a previous video I had tried a sample of the Chanel SUBLIMAGE, and I think I kind of I made a mistake because I applied it the way I like to apply my foundation, which is quite sheer, and I was kind of underwhelmed. But then I carried on playing with this cheeky little sample here, and I applied a proper medium coverage and swiftly fell in love. And so as a result, I was going to say I had a baby. No, I didn't. I did the other version. I had a grown up. So I basically bought this. It comes in the most thrilling, which I've now lost, most thrilling gold box. Where have I put it? Here it is. It's so thrilling. I got so excited because I do like the SUBLIMAGE skincare. But anyway, my point is I've bought it. And along with that, I mean, I have bought a load of other stuff in the sale. I'm using this for the first time. I'm B50. Well, this is B50, and that was the sample, and I think I was pretty much kind of satisfied with it. Oh, the smell is divine. It is very much fragranced. If you don't like fragrance, this isn't for you. But I do like the fact that it comes with a brush. Now, I bought it in the sale. I can't remember where, was it Selfridges? I think it was Selfridges. And I was slightly amazed it was in the sale. And I don't know whether this has been your experience this year, but I do think the sales have been rather good this year in that it does, my sense is that fewer products or less stock has been kind of excluded, you know? Anyway, so that's kind of been my sense. So I did buy this and I'm very excited because actually once I did the full medium application as a product, it made a lot of sense. I was just trying to do with it what I do with the, you know, the Givenchy or the Guerlain or something like that, or even the Clé de Peau, which is kind of just give myself a little, you know, give myself a little soupçon of foundation. But actually, I think this one works best when, in a lot of things in my life, when I fully commit, as opposed to playing hard to get. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, there comes a point in one's life when that's just ridiculous. And I think maybe I am at that point, and my foundation knows it. That's how transparent I am. I did think it was worth just flagging up to you because I know it's not a new product and lots of you, if you're interested, will have tried it. But there may be somebody out there who has been perhaps on the fence, and I just think it's a very lovely foundation. Better late than never, as in so many things in my life. But that's okay. There's no point in having a mind if you don't change it. And then sort of admit that you've changed your mind, as opposed to, you know, I know what I used to do when I was younger. Pretend I knew it all along. I knew nothing. Nothing has changed. Anyway, so there is that. I also went slightly bonkers on the Monica Vinader sale. As you know, I pay for everything myself. And I bought this is quite funny. I bought this necklace. I'll tell you why I bought this necklace. I have a necklace that I wear all the time, which has sort of got a little green thing. And I had to remove it because I was very kindly gifted the neck and décolletage LED mask. But I didn't see this anywhere, but common sense told me you probably shouldn't wear a necklace under the mask. So I removed the necklace. Of course, then I can't put my necklace back on myself. I don't have that skill. Some people, and I think it's most people, and I'm sure you are one of these people, can just put their necklaces on themselves. I really can't. So I need somebody with me. Now, these are hard economic times, and so as part of the cuts, I've had to let my lady's maid go. So I'm managing to dress myself every morning, which is quite incredible. I am so impressed with myself. But of course, I haven't got anybody like on tap to put my necklace on for me. So I was looking for something that I could do myself. And this, of course, it's just got a little T-bar and you just pop it through the little loopy thing and then you've got a necklace. And I kind of look, you know, a little bit more finished, as it were. Not finished, but finished, you know? So that's one of the things they teach you, isn't it? At drama school, I have read. They give you one sentence and you've got to say it in 10 different ways. So I just did that. Finished with 2 different meanings, I think. But anyway, my point is I'm absolutely delighted and I feel so liberated that I can do my own necklace. So that's good. I also bought these very plain hoops. Well, they are plain, but they're shiny and they've also been sort of beaten. Who was it in ancient Was it Prometheus? No, it wasn't Prometheus. Who was it who was the, who worked in metal? I had to look it up. It was Vulcan, otherwise known as Hephaestus. And why am I telling you this? Oh yes, so it's sort of beaten. The earrings are shiny, but they've been beaten. And what I liked about them is I have got some other ones, which are actually real, solid gold, well, real gold, but they are beaten and matte, whereas these are beaten and shiny. So they've got these little dents in, which I quite liked. So I did that as well. And then I also bought this as well, because it's tiger's eye, and I like tiger's eye. And again, I can put it on myself. You see, it's like this one. Also want to get, I can put this on, it's got that loopy thing, and you just kind of, it's really easy. So my point is, this is now my criteria. I have to be able to put stuff on myself, and because I'm a bit, well, clearly I'm a bit incompetent, you know, and they don't have a range called the moronic range or, you know, the incompetent range. So I have to sort of, you know, kind of go through the whole website. All I'm saying is, if you're anything like me and you want stuff that you can put on yourself, this necklace or this kind of clasp is a really easy one to kind of do yourself, as is this bracelet, as is this friendship bracelet, because you just pull it. It's not difficult at all. I know, it's a bit embarrassing. You know, we're watching this series called, what's it called? Department Q. And a necklace features in the, it's a thriller. A necklace features in the thriller. This is such a lovely finish. It's sort of velvety but not flat. And the protagonist, who is under an extreme situation in that she has been taken hostage, she is in a pressurized tank, pressure chamber. She still, when the necklace is taken off, she can still put it on under those circumstances, you know, malnutrition, extreme trauma and fear, and she still just does the necklace up. And I did just think, yeah, I'm really incompetent, because she's doing it under those extreme circumstances and I can't even do it calmly, you know, after a coffee and with a radio on. I can't do that. Anyway, so that was stuff that I bought in the sale. I bought the SUBLIMAGE in the sale. And then the other thing that I bought that I was very excited by, I'm just going to put some lip liner on and then I'll put some blusher on. The other thing that I bought, sorry, I have put some blusher on in the meantime. I used the Valentino Colour Crush one, looks like that. I bought another Guerlain G lipstick, and the shade that I bought, I didn't buy one of the new Christmas ones. Thought they were a bit bright. Was 521 Grey Rosé. So I'll just put some on now, and hopefully it will go with both eye looks, because I'm a bit lopsided, aren't I? It's okay. There are worse things. It's a bit pinky for this side. It's a bit pinky for the jumper, but you know, we can't have everything. These are such great lipsticks. I mean, they're just so good. If you have tried this range of the Guerlain lipsticks, but in the matte, please let me know if they are drying. Because if they're not drying, I'm going to give them a go, because they've got tremendous colours in those as well. And I've said before, much like the Louis Vuitton lipsticks, I'm attracted to the mattes in those, but I'm just not confident that, frankly, for the money, they're not going to be really drying. Anyway, I think I was a bit overzealous. But yeah, this foundation has got proper glow and it's a lovely finish. I just really like it. Who knew I was going to end the year falling in love with SUBLIMAGE foundation? Who knew? Because, you know, I couldn't give the Natasha Denona foundation a go, because her shades just never, I can never find my shade with her, either for the concealer or for her foundation. So I just wasn't gonna, you know, I wasn't gonna give that a go, frankly. Anyway, I do need to buy, in the Guerlain range, I need to buy some reds. Now that I am a red person. Yes, I know. When I started this year and I started this channel, I didn't think that I would end up becoming a red lipstick person. And I rather feel that I owe it to you. That's what I think. I kind of feel that somehow you have encouraged me to not so much step out of my comfort zone. It's not so much the comfort, but just try something new. Not because of the comfort or the discomfort, but actually think about something new. You know, that's kind of the benefit. My hair has been on end. Have you noticed that? I mean, I've only just noticed that now. Of course you've noticed it, but I've just noticed that now. My goodness me, I do look like I've been plugged into the mains. But it is very cold today, and it's very dry, and my hair has clearly gone higher and higher. So I do need to get the hair oil out and do that. Of course, now I can't do that. The editing process does not allow for hairdressing. Funnily enough, they haven't worked that out, and when they've sorted that out with AI, then I'll be impressed. Yeah, but anyway, I would love to hear from you. What do you think of the eyeshadow palettes, and is Viseart a brand that you generally go for, or you're interested in, or you're going to go for? I really am interested. And actually, how do you feel about my boring praline palette? My brown food praline palette, stews and roasts. I don't know, I'm always in the mood for a roast. And of course, as we hurtle towards Christmas, it's the big one, isn't it? It's the big roast, which I think is always the easiest roast because it is exactly the same meal. I do wonder whether those of you who have celebrated Thanksgiving and celebrate Thanksgiving every year, do you feel that? For me, it's the easiest meal of the year to cook. It doesn't matter how many people I've got around the table because it is exactly the same meal every year. There's no deviation. Yeah, I do kind of think that. It's the ultimate brown food, Christmas lunch or Christmas supper or Christmas dinner. It really is. So yeah, anyway, I don't know how we got onto that. My point is, I would love to hear from you. Let me know what you think of the palettes, whether you've tried these G lipsticks and whether you've tried the mattes actually. And you know what? Here's something for you. What's your favourite foundation? I would really like to know, what is your favourite foundation? What's the foundation, particularly in the sales, you might think, I want to stock up on that, either because you use it a lot or because maybe it's particularly expensive, so a sale makes a big difference. Although I do feel all of us are savvy enough to know that we can wait for some kind of discount, can't we? But I do want to know what your favourite foundation is. Partly because I'm thinking a lot about what my top 5 are, and it's a slightly weird situation in that I've tried this in the full size for the first time with you now, and I just love it. And you know, I can see it in the mirror as the minutes kind of go. It's actually, and it settles. I've used no powder. It's perfection. I do like it. Well, I don't mean I look perfect. I mean it's kind of the perfect foundation, I think. I'm going to wear it again tomorrow in the daylight, and I will do a short to show you just in case there's anybody out there who perhaps hasn't given it a go. Maybe you're thinking of it. But yeah, let me know. I love hearing from you. Do subscribe and give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video.